Alright, so I've ran into a problem here when trying to remove this clutch hub nut on the KLX300 engine. Unlike most other clutch designs, where you would take out your clutch spring bolts, your clutch springs, take off your pressure plate, take out your clutch plates, you would use a traditional clutch holding tool to clamp this in place and hold it and then loosen the nut. Well, this one doesn't work like that. You cannot get any of these things out of here until this nut comes off on the clutch hub. And then the whole clutch pack comes out as an assembly, and then you deal with it like that. So how it goes is you would use a gear holder. You would place it here, get that set in there, and that's going to lock it into place. That's great. The problem is this nut is so tight, when you go to loosen it, it takes so much force that the clutch slips. So you're out of force. There's no other way to hold it. Now, there's always the option of the pneumatic or electric impact gun. This was a 1/2-inch gun, turned up to 150 pounds of line pressure. It did not make any difference at all. If you use a stronger one, you may run into the same issue where your clutch slips also. If not, you still need to go to a torque spec going back together, and you can't do that with an impact gun. So here's what I did to get the nut loose. So being that the clutch plate's slipping is what's causing the problem, I needed a way to get more pressure on these clutch plates, and heavy duty clutch springs would probably solve the problem, which I don't have. So I took some flat blade screwdrivers and just gently put them behind the clutch plates here in the clutch basket, and you can see it flexing on a little bit. Now you don't want to pry and you don't want to force it, or you're going to damage something, but I just took the screwdrivers and just sort of tapped them in there just enough till they stick. And I did that in a few spots, and I used a total of 3 flat blade screwdrivers in there. So with those screwdrivers wedged in there, putting some extra place, and they're just wedges. That's all they're doing, is just wedging against those plates. And 3 was enough to get some pressure, but still allow me to get a tool in there, and then put some force on that nut. And of course, you also want to make sure you had your gear holder in place. And that allowed me to hold those plates still and finally break that nut loose. So the weird thing about this is being a 2021 model Kawasaki motorcycle. This is not a new engine design. This engine design is from, I want to say, the early 90s. It's been a KLX250, it's been a KLX300, a kickstart dirt bike. Then it came back as the KLX250 Dual Sport, kind of updated. Same nut, same part number. This nut actually is used on many, many Kawasaki engines. Now, when you go back in time to the earlier versions of this engine, the torque spec for this nut is 58 foot-pounds. That's why I don't think I've taken these engines apart in the past and not had this issue. Now, when you look at the torque spec for this 2021 and up version of this engine, same nut, same part number, it is 114 foot-pounds, and that's where the problem is. It's so tight that it takes more force to loosen it than the clutch can hold, so the clutch slips. This is what happened to mine. I hope this doesn't happen to every one of these engines for everybody else out there. But that's the problem. So going back together, you can use your own discretion there. Maybe you want to get closer to that old torque spec and use some, red thread lock, or maybe you want to just play it extra safe and go to that full 114 foot-pounds, which in that case, or maybe you want to be a wild man and just bang it on there with a impact gun and call it good. It's your call how you want to do that. But if you want to hit that 114 foot-pounds, all you need to do is put your screwdrivers back in place and put your gear holder. Actually, the gear holder goes on the top when you go to tighten it down. And I think with those screwdrivers wedging in there, you're going to be able to hit that that torque spec if you want to go back to it. So just think about when you go back together how you want to do it. So look for the manual to come out soon. Once it's out, we'll put links in this video, and we'll have step-by-step instructions for everything you want to do to your KLX300, along with tech support. So when you run into any kind of weird stuff or problems, you have questions, just contact us and we'll help you out.